the thief was coming through the front of the house. Why didn't the girl escape through the back? I would say if she escaped through the back, the film has finished. There's no more drama. She has to try to go through the front. That's where the drama comes from.
I am so excited about this. I've been looking forward to this for a minute. You have no idea. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. My name is Martini, and it's my real name. I mean, because a lot of people assume it's my nickname, and that's why I don't have a nickname, because most people think Martini is my nickname. So, but I mean, the story of how my name is Martini, how a boy from Ibadan is named Martini. My surname is Akande, so Martini Akande. How a boy from Ibadan is named Martini. We will share that story someday. But yeah, like I said, my name is Martini. I'm a film editor and post-production producer, consultant, supervisor. I like to think of myself as apart from being a film editor, I like to think of myself as a post-production manager. You get what I mean? And I had to metamorphosize into that role over the last 2-3 years because I felt like there is a need for post-production management. Apart from, we have editors, we have colorists, we have sound designers, we have composers and all those guys, but I feel like there's a hole to fill in managing the post-production. Somebody needs to manage that process. So it's a role I've been trying to solidify myself in the last 2 to 3 years. So I like to think of myself as a film editor and a post-production producer. I've edited a few films that you might have seen and some that you will never see. Documentaries, short films, feature films, some on Netflix, some on Prime Video. Most recently is the Forgotten Shots documentary that screened at. It has been to about 8 festivals now, and I'm glad you opened with that documentary because I was at a screening 2 weeks ago, and so most recently, Forgotten Shots documentary, but the next project I have coming out, this is probably the first time I'm seeing it out. The next project I have coming out is a project called Christmas in Lagos by Jade Oshiberu. That's coming out, obviously, Christmas in December.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm agreeing in public that I edited because when they announced it that it was coming out, I quoted the tweet and I predicted the plot, because Ira Star is in it and Shafi Bello and all that. So I wrote a fake plot saying Ira Star is the daughter of RMD and Shafi Bello. So a few people took it serious and they were like, "Oh God, calm down. You don't even know what the film is about." And I was just having a laugh because I edited the film. And I'm just messing around, but it was fun to just see people, attack me online. You don't even know anything about the film and you're saying this and you're saying. So I tweeted, and this is a very predictable plot. I made a joke.
You're causing problems.
Exactly. So then a lot of people, of course, some of my friends knew I was just trolling and I was the one who edited it. But so that's what I'm saying. This is the first time I'm actually saying it in public that I edited the film and it's coming out in December. Yeah, I think that's enough
amazing.
About myself for now.
Well, you guys heard it here first. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And when you were speaking about, what you did in the background, I kept thinking to myself, how does it feel waiting, knowing the story, all of this? You just literally have to you have to hold yourself and wait until everyone sees it. I guess over time you've built the ability to but I can imagine are there still projects that you've done and you are like, let them release this thing quickly now?
I've edited some films that you will see on Prime and on Netflix and in the cinema, and I've edited some that you will never see, and I've edited some that you will see maybe in 3 years or 2 years or next year. I mean, a film came out this year. You've had Segil Olaogidon on your show before, because I think I checked your YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, I edited. I don't know if you talked about her film, a romantic comedy featuring Lara and Toby.
Yeah, we spoke about it.
She spoke about it. Yeah, I edited that, and I edited that since 2021, Yeah, that's how long ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 2021. I finished it in 2022. So, and it's just coming out. I mean, it's come out a few times, but it's just coming out. I think this is the most public it has been out. Yeah. It's coming out to all Francophone countries, which is, some good news. So sometimes some films, you'll have done them for a while, and, it'll take a while for them to come out.
Do you ever feel frustrated by the process when it takes a longer time than usual? Are you?
Yeah. I mean, but you get used to it, because a lot of times these things are not they're not like, it's not the producer's fault or the director's fault. They really want the film to go out as much as you, the editor, want it to go out, but some things might not just align. The cinema you are taking it to might have a different slate of films that they want to come out at that time. You might not be getting the kind of deal you want from the streamers. You've put all your blood and sweat into this film, and you don't just want to, just drop it there, and they're offering you some amounts. I mean, depending on whatever the case may be for, any of those films. So as much as I get frustrated, I still kind of, because I have friends that are producers too, so I understand the process. So yeah,
that's very interesting, because I now want to know your process as you currently run it. I'm thinking to myself, there is an ideal way that you have in your mind, but there's also a way that you've been able to make things work. And I want to connect that to how you are able to influence the story. I like that we started the conversation about documentaries, and I really want to get into your head. I want to see, how does Martini work? What are the things that Martini is thinking about when he's putting together his story? But I want to first see, what are the conditions that you kind of set to make that space or that thing comfortable. Then I want to get into your head. I want to see how you work. How do you move a story from the very first cut, in fact, till to the end?
So, I mean, I'll try to make this short, because it deserves a very long answer, and we can spend days talking about it. But in terms of the conditions that I put together, if they bring me on very early in the project, it's good, and I can set some conditions on the ideal ways that I should receive the file. Now, these ideal ways is a long process I can start going into, which time might not permit us, but I want to get to the second part of your question as fast as possible. So let me say I've put all the parameters in place, but the most important parameter is that the files come to me in a certain way. The way the files should be synced and sorted. There's the data management system, there's the DIT process, that's digital image technology process, and there's all that, which I'm not sure which part should I really go into it, or let me just move straight to your second question. But I think your second question is more important, because that's the part I think will benefit people who are watching, the most. So let's say I've put all the conditions in place to properly work on a project, and I'm about to start the project. And if I'm to use documentary, the process is slightly different when it's a documentary and when it's a feature film. But like I said, documentaries challenge you more as an editor, because they are not scripted. You cannot see the end from the beginning. You are figuring it out. I've said it before that I think documentary editors should share writing credits, for like, maybe there's probably a writer for the documentary, but I think the editors should share some of that credit, because you are literally forming the story on the go. So using documentary for as example here, I mean, it's sad that I'm using documentary, because I've edited more films than documentaries, but like I said, documentaries challenge you more. So let's say a documentary is the project, and let me use Forgotten Shores for instance, as it's always easy when you have a case study. Forgotten Shores started with they shot about 16 interviews, and they have a ton of B-roll that they shot, for the documentary. And Forgotten Shores is a peculiar story in the sense of, so for me as an editor, is the most important thing to me is, what does the director want to do with this project? Like, what is the agenda here? Like, what story are you trying to tell? I will find a way to tell that story from the footage. So I strongly believe that the interviews, like, you might have an idea of, okay, this is the story I want to tell through this documentary. But when you go through the interview, like when you watch every interview, when you go through the interview, what we call, there's B-roll and there's interview. When you watch through the interview, you start getting a sense of where to take this story to. Now, watching the interview might give you, Forgotten Shores, for instance, we had like 6 or 7 different ways that we could have taken the story. Yeah. Now, it's now up to you as a director, and it's a very collaborative process. The documentary editing process is you and the director figuring it out, to be honest. So it's up to you to now watch and say, okay, we have all these different places that we can take the story, but which one is the most important to us? So in the case of St. Helena, the most important thing to us was to tell their story and bring the attention of the world to their situation. But, and this is a huge but don't tell their story like they're a pity case. So they are not a pity case. They are not, oh, we are suffering. We are, our life, there's no money. We are suffering. No. That's not their story. Their story is, this is how we came. This is how this island was formed. This is how we got here. This is how things can get better. This is what we have done despite the peculiar challenges that we have on this island, and this is how we think things can get better. That's the story. So, but if we wanted to take it on the route of, we are suffering, poverty, there's poverty, our old people are dying, all the young people are leaving the island, we have enough to go that route, but that's not the reality of their story. So it's about staying true to what is the true essence of these people. So that's my job as an editor, to now find different things that can tell this true story. That's where I come in. It's about hunting for everywhere somebody said something, and then taking it from, okay, introducing the world to St. Helena Island. Like I said, St. Helena is an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Most people don't know it. I've only met one person that I said, oh, do you know St. Helena? And they know St. Helena Island. So automatically I have a job as an editor to first introduce this island to the people, to the audience, from the beginning of the documentary. Introduce the island, introduce the history of the island, how it came to be. Yeah, St. Helena Island came to be through slave trade. Introduce that story. Introduce the set of people that first stayed there. One of the things you notice about the island is that it was like a slave island, and a place where they like dumped slaves that were rescued. So different kind of slaves, were put on that island. Slaves from maybe from Nigeria, from Malaysia, from Madagascar, from different places. So automatically, over time, these people will marry each other. And we are talking about the 16th century here. Now, this is 2020. You definitely have a child there who has about 16 DNAs. The child is Somalian, she's Indian, she's British, so you have to, that's a very interesting story, that one person, you can't really tell what they are. They look Indian, they look Kenyan, they look Chinese. And that's because from generations to generation, how they started was, the British found the British colonized the island for a long time, and they were just dumping all sorts of people there, slaves and workers, dumping them there, and it had a lot of fish, so they were using it for fishing. They were mining whale oil there at some point. So it's telling this story. It's a very interesting story, and you have so much to work with. My job as an editor is to streamline and make this very concise. One of the comments I got, which made me really happy from the screening at British Urban Film Festival, was that the person said they liked the pace of the story. They liked the pace. It was straight to the point. It wasn't. One of the difficulties I had was this is not a sports documentary or it cannot be fast paced. Like, people need to settle into the story and see how and understand the peculiarities of this island. So it was a bit quiet. It was quite slow paced, but I struggled with that at some point because I was like, this is 2024 and attention span, all these Gen Z people, their attention span is very short. So I hope they will not turn it off. So it was my job as an editor realizing that, okay, attention span is short, but you have to keep feeding them with curiosity, like interesting stuff. So even if the pace is not fast, it's not a TikTok video, you need to keep feeding them with information that keeps them looking up. Oh, okay, what is the next thing? What is the next thing? So so we started with 55 minutes first cut, and by the time we had the 8th draft, it became a 22 minutes documentary, because we just realized that, let us face a particular story and tell it well, instead of going all over the place and somebody is like, okay, so what is this documentary really about? So it's about being the first audience. That's what I call an editor. Sometimes you are like the first audience of a film. The director has directed it, everybody has done what they want to do, but you are the first person perceiving it as the audience. I'm watching it, I'm going through the footage like a potential audience, like somebody. So I ask myself, if I'm an audience and I'm watching this documentary, do I care about these parts of the documentary? If I don't care about it, I take it out.
That was wild. That was wild. I mean, I was just thinking to myself, how do you keep track?
Well, I mean, we have markers and all sorts. We have notes. I don't know if my notes is here. We have notes. I have this one here. I have some on my wall. I don't know if I can turn. Can I turn it? Can you see it? Yeah. Notes on the wall.
Nice.
I know that.
Have you ever had to revisit a project that you probably did a long time ago, and then how did your notes help there?
Maybe not the notes. I mean, yeah, the notes. So apart from the physical notes that you can keep notes on, like the timeline on the project. Yeah. So there are times when I go to a project from years ago, I see some of the notes that I left, and they're helpful.
Do you ever think that as an editor, that the audience that you are communicating with, you don't really understand them, and so you maybe need to even understand your audience before you even start the edit? Yeah,
very important. I mean, they are niche films, right? So there are some films that you are working on some films, and and it's not like you're trying to limit that film, but that the audience for this film is a niche audience. It's not. I don't know if you've seen this film, Poor Things by what's this guy's name? It's not Robert Hedges. He's a Greek director, Yorgos something. The title is Poor Things. That's the one Emma Stone won the best actor for at the last Oscar. I believe that kind of film is not a mass market film, I watched it, I liked it. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I think it was, I feel like some things were overdone, but I think it's a really good film. But I have a lot of friends who are not, who like they are maybe because they are not filmmakers, but their own sensitivities are not towards those kind of films. So then they were like, they don't understand it. Like we was too like they don't even they even think it's a bad film. You know, you get what I mean? So as an editor, you need to like know, okay, what kind of audience is this director trying to make this film for? Will they forgive these things? So for me, I was able to forgive some of the things in the film because I kind of understand what they were trying to do. I understood what the message he was trying to pass, you know, in this film. Did he overdo it at some point? Yes. I think he overdid it and it was overindulgent. But I know that if I'm editing that kind of film as an editor, I know that this film is not for somebody, sorry to say, this film is not for somebody whose best film is Fast and Furious. And I'm not trying to shit on Fast and Furious. I'm just trying to say these films have different audiences. So this film is probably for somebody, and it's not a matter of, it's not an intelligence level thing. I don't think people who like certain types of films are more intelligent than people who like, you know, that. But different films have, for instance, I don't listen to some kind of music. But if you hear the kind of music I listen to, if you ascribe intelligence to music genre, you probably think I'm not an intelligent person. I listen to old school music, Ebenezer Obey, you know, Sonny Ade and all those things. That's what I listen to. So if you ascribe intelligence to a certain kind of music, you might say I'm not an intelligent person because I listen to old school Yoruba music. You get what I mean? Old school Yoruba gospel music, that's what I listen to. Gospel music, old school, you know, all this very old, you know, I mean, some are very ridiculous when you hear the kind of people I listen to. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, so you should understand the audience that you're, you know, making a film for, and it's very important you do.
You're just dropping some wisdom right here, because whilst we were speaking, something dropped again in my heart when you spoke about the indulgence of the director, and I was thinking to myself that how do you draw the line? How do you when do you know? Do you yourself even know when you're across the line and overdoing this thing? And how do you kind of protect yourself or help yourself so that you don't cross those lines often?
Yeah, as an editor, you should know. You know, like I said, you are watching as an audience. You are editing this film like you are the audience of the film. You get what I mean? So, I mean, in terms of like being overindulgent, a friend wrote a script recently, and he sent it to me. I read it, I liked it, but some things were not clear. And, you know, weeks later, he came to tell me that I'm not the first person telling him that some things are not clear. And he realized that every time he has sent the script to people he trusts in filmmaking, that he trusts their opinion, he has had to defend the film. And he was humble enough to tell himself that, okay, I think I might be overindulging myself. This thing is clear to only me. Others are not seeing it in the script. So definitely it is a me problem. It's not like, oh, whatever I've done in this film is too brilliant, and you can be subtle, you can be subtle, you can be you don't have to spoon feed the audience, but also you need to give the audience something to work with. So sometimes some people get crazy about this genius, you know, this idea they have in their head, and they don't realize that it's not translating. You are the only one that understands what you are trying to do. So it takes an humble director, you know, to listen to an editor and say, Oga, this thing, I think we should return this scene, because if you don't put it there, the audience will be asking questions of like, it's good to let the audience ask questions because that's how they engage in the film. But it's also bad to starve the audience. Like, don't make them, you know, your film is not the only film on Netflix. So please, if you want me to be doing calculus to understand your film, please get out. So yeah, there's a fine line, and it's always great when you have an editor who can, you know, tell you the truth.
How do you speak to younger editors who are trying to get their feet into the business? Let me not say get their feet, they already are, but I also feel like there is whenever you're starting something new, you're failing a lot. You're failing a lot, and a lot of failure can lead to a lack of confidence. And the artist trope that has been popularized has been that artists are actually at the forefront of dealing with failure a lot because their medium is a very public medium. It's not as hidden as other forms of business and occupation. So how do you speak to, let me not tie this just to editors, because you engage with a lot of artists, a lot of creators. How in your own experience, those who are coming behind you, how have you been able to engage with them, and how should others engage with them in such a way that they don't lose their confidence, they don't lose their self in the creating of the work?
I'm still learning, to be honest, because everyone is still learning. I mean, if someone like Martin Scorsese says he's still learning, at 80. At 80, you are still, I think failing is fine because I learned filmmaking from doing. I didn't go to like a filmmaking school or any of those things. So I learned from doing, and if you learn from doing, that means you will fail a lot. I learned from doing something, failed at it, try and error. I think that's how you learn. I don't take it too personal. Know why this failed. Know why this failed, and know how you are going to make it better in the next one. You're right. Medium. Our work is very. Anybody can. I mean, if you work in a bank, and or you're an accountant and you mess up, and maybe you didn't do the books well. Your boss is going to scold you. The upper management, you might get sacked, which is really bad. But like, you might just get like a query at the office and all that stuff. But if you edit a film that everybody is shitting on Twitter. One guy was defending his film recently on Twitter, and he was trying to tell the audience that, and this happened. I just, I understood what he was trying to do because I've edited 1 or 2 films before that everybody was just saying, what's this rubbish, what's this nonsense, So I understood where he was coming from, but I had to tell him, bro, you don't need to come and defend, you don't need to come and defend this film. Don't worry. Keep retweeting the good comments, keep praising the good comments. I watched it and I thought his performance was good enough. It's not the reason the film is bad. So you don't need to come and start explaining to people this is what happened behind. Nobody cares. Be happy for the good comments, and hope that in future you're able to get on better projects. I'll just say don't take it too personal, to be honest. Nobody plans to make a bad film, and especially as an editor, I have resigned to the fact that, I've edited projects that I am happy that I edited them, and I'm proud to say I edited them. There are some, I'm proud to say I edited every project I edited because I gave them my best. But projects, some were more enjoyable than others. Some gave you so much material to work with, and you were able to do your very best with them, and they came out really well. But you like, I've accepted the fact that if you really, really, really want, if you're an editor who has like desires to like tell certain type of stories, you may have to go and do them yourself. You cannot keep waiting for somebody to bring, if as long as you're an editor and you edit you are editing someone's film, you have to accept whatever you get. Of course, there are people who have gotten to, if you are Joe Walker is the editor of Dune Part 1 and 2, Sicario. If you are that guy, you can sit down in your house in Los Angeles and say, this is the next thing I want to do, and you can be picking. But if you are not that person, a lot of times you might just take whatever comes your way. Not like you take everything that comes your way, but you don't have as much options as Eddie Hamilton, the editor of Top Gun. You get what I mean? So if you're not there yet, you just know that, okay, this project comes, all right, okay, they didn't shoot it the way I think it should be shot, they didn't shoot it well, blah, 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 but I will do my best. I'll make it better and let it go out. Whatever the audience says, you know that you have done your best. So don't take it too personal. I think that's what I would say.
You mentioned options, and it's such a big challenge, right? Because when you feel your options are very little, you have a little amount of things that you can choose from. And I kept thinking to myself, but have you not come to a point in your career where you can literally see a shipwreck heading your way, but you don't have enough options? How do you deal with that? How do you see something like, like, I don't think this is a good project, but like the options are not there? How do you manage that?
So I said something to someone. It's funny how I keep saying I said this because I've had these conversations a lot of times, as you would expect. A project is either doing two things for you. It is paying you enough to live a decent life, or it is improving your portfolio, depending on where you are on your career journey. So the project that gave me my big break, because I don't want to, I mean, some people will know if they have time to go and find out, but I'm not going to mention the project and I'm not going to mention the year. I will say that project, like you said, shipwreck. It was, I knew this, I knew this was going to be difficult. I've edited feature films before that project, but I knew this was going to be a very difficult project to edit. So much drama. The timeline was crazy, but I knew this was going to be big when it comes out. I will try my best. I will put in everything I can do. When I did that project, if that project comes to me today, I will not do it. But as at the time when it came then, I had to do it because I know what can come out of it. It didn't pay me much then, but I knew I knew that if I was aware that if I did it then, I can say to the next person, oh, I have done this, and that can take me, I can form more relationships from that. I can, it's one of those projects that gets you out there. Let me put it that way. So you can see a shipwreck coming your way, but because of what you are going to get out of that project, and also no experience is wasted, to be honest. Editing is solving problems. A lot of times we are solving problems. We are manipulating things. We are moving screens. We are moving scenes around just to make it make sense. So it depends. Like I said, the project that gave me that break, if it comes today, I will reject it, because for me it will be a thing of, I would rather spend my creative, I would rather spend everything I have learned, my experience, I would rather put it into something more challenging at this point, But as at then, I had to do it. So my answer would be, depends on where you are at on your journey. Depends on where you are at, if you need the money too, you might be down on your luck and you just need something to get you up on your feet, So I won't come here and pretend like, oh, every project you do is for passion, I won't come here and say that. There sometimes you have to take some project because they put food on your table. So there are times you will have to do that. Of course, you should compromise. There are projects I have rejected, even when I did not know where my next money was going to come from. At some point you have to still choose your health. You have to your health, your family over money a lot of times. But it's just finding that balance and knowing, if I take this shipwreck, what is this? How will I come out at the end of it? Will I come out as Jack, or as is it Elizabeth on the Titanic? Hopefully, don't come out as Jack, because Jack froze to death. So yeah, that's it. That's my advice. That's how I go about it.
Oh, man, that's amazing. People keep asking, keep saying that there was enough room on that board. She could have moved.
She could have moved. Like, I mean, that's true. You could have moved. But if she had moved,
Man.
we will not remember the story today. That's what made it sweet, you know. When someone says something and like, the thief was coming through the front of the house. Why didn't the girl escape through the back? I would say if she escaped through the back, the film has finished now. You know, there's no more drama. She has to try to go through the front. That's where the drama comes from. So yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so in the creating of your project that you worked on, in all the challenges that you've had, which particular project has really brought about the best in you as an editor? Now, you don't have to name the project per se, but you can just give us the scenarios that really caused that. When you look at that, there's something I have, there's an idea I'm fascinated by, which is the coming of age idea of there's a point, I believe, where a boy becomes a man, that there is a defining moment. There is a line, literally, that if you really sit down and thinks that there was something that happened to him or something that happened around him that sparked something that shifted him. You know, it reminds me of a video I've seen on social media. I don't know whether you've seen it. A very small boy, I mean, probably 10 years old. He's watching a belly dancer dancing, and it seems for the first time in his life, there's like a light bulb, like something awakens, and he realizes, okay, I actually like girls. Like something ting 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 in his mind, and he realizes, there's yeah, exactly. But in your case now, I'm thinking, what projects, did you see as that moment in your career?
I mean, I've had some milestone projects that improved my the way I work and the way I edit. But I would say, and that's where I'm at now. I'm at a place where I'm currently editing one of those non-linear stories where there's time travel, there is a lot of flashbacks and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the first time I'm doing that, so that's a challenge. It's not a big film, If I'm in terms of scale, if I'm to put it on if I have to put it on a table in terms of scale, it's not in like top 8 the films I've edited in terms of scale, but it is a new challenge. I've not edited something like that before. There's a lot of time travel in there. There's a lot of flashback. The story is not told in a linear. Think of Inception. That's the way the story is. Christopher Nolan's Inception. So that's that's where I'm at now. Like looking for new things that can challenge me. Brotherhood, for instance. I mean, I can mention that I've edited short films that are action films before, but Brotherhood was my first feature-length action film. So that came with its own challenge, especially the fact that up to now it's still I think it's the biggest action film ever made in Nollywood. I think. It's still the highest grossing action film ever made in Nollywood, and I think it's still the biggest. So knowing that you are working on a project that has the potential to be the biggest action film ever done in Nollywood comes with its own pressure, and you are working with everyone on set. The production has been done to a high level. You as an editor, it is up to you to now make all that come together really, really well. So that was one challenging project, and I'm glad it came out. It came out well, and I mean, maybe the AMVCA nomination for best editing was like a crown on. Okay, yes, you did it well. Like that. So there's Brotherhood. what's the name? Segilola Ogido's film. That's the first rom-com that I edited, you know. And so you try to you come to understand that, okay, comedy is different. Romantic comedy is different from full drama, you know. Action Brotherhood is different from rom-com. It has some romance in it, but it is not romance. So when you're in the romantic scenes, you don't want to, like, this is an action film. So every project comes with its own unique challenge, and that's I think that's the first thing that I think of when I'm getting on the project before I even think about how much I'm going to get paid for it. It is what is that new thing that I can learn from this project? Like what because sometimes you may not learn something until you try to do it. So what is that new thing that I might discover from taking on this new challenge? Yeah.
Do you think that as an editor, you need time in between projects? So I've heard actors say this, right? That you take on a character, and after you've worn that character for a while, you need to undress, pretty much, take off that character. Does the same apply to editors?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, I won't mention the name of the project. But I just finished editing a film last year. I edited this film last year, and it was a slow-paced film. You know, think of European expressionism, like is it Ingrid Bergman? Persona, what's that film? Like, think of all those European films that are really slow. Those films you will watch at Cannes and you come out and you don't even understand. At Cannes Film Festival, you don't even understand, you know, what you just watched. So think of European, you know, in all those European indie films. That's what I just finished editing at that point. So it was a film very heavy on mood. You know, it was a very serious story on identity and all that. And then I moved on to editing another film that had a lot of partying, you know, Lagos, you know, high-class society and all that stuff. And it was immediately. And when I watched the rough cut, in fact, it was more than rough cut, close to like a V1, a version 1. I was seeing some things that were lingering longer than they should. I mean, some shots that were lingering longer than they should. And I had to tell myself, you are still carrying some elements of this last film into this one. This is not what this film is. But like I said, I don't know why I keep going back to it. I watched it as an audience. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, why is this shot still here? This is not, you know, we need to move on. Like, we need to move on from this thing at this point. It was right to do it on that other film, but not on this film. So, yeah, it's important to have some space in between. You know, I don't know how long that space will be for you as an editor. And even if you don't have space, at the end of the day, you're a storyteller. It's about maybe for actors, it is worse. I won't compare myself as an actor, because an actor, you have to believe that you are a serial killer. You know, on that set, you probably have to believe that you are, you know, that you are a depressed person. You know, especially films on like what's this post-pregnancy depression, you know, films like that.
Yeah.
So you have to, as an actor, it might take you months, you know, to come out of that. But as an editor, I don't think we need as much time as actors need. But yeah, it's important to, even if you don't have the time to move on to a new film as an editor, you have the awareness of what you are working on. Yeah.
When you are working on a project and you find that you've gone maybe, let's say 3 months, 4 months, you've made progress, right? You've passed through a lot of hurdles. Have you ever looked back and you're like, did I do that? Like, in a good way, like, I don't remember what headspace I was in, how I made this decision, but this is a very good decision. I need to talk to the guy that made that decision, but it was you. I've never felt that way about your project.
Yeah. Especially when you've stepped away from the project. Yeah. I mean, I had some friends over like 2 months ago, and they were watching Brotherhood, and I was they were watching with my wife. She has a habit of showing everybody, entertaining our guests with films that I've edited. I mean, this is the UK, so a lot of people here have not seen a lot of Nigerian films. So like, you've not seen it? Okay, come. My husband edited it. Come and watch it. So when they visit us, and they were like 8 or 7 of them downstairs, and throughout they were just making noise. Hey, like, I was like, okay, so this film is that interesting. Okay, and I'm just passing by and I'm watching it. Like, I have forgotten that. In that moment, I don't know the next thing that is going to happen. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
But I then remember that, I was the one who edited that now. Why am I surprised? So when you stepped away from a project, the Christmas in Lagos, this is me doing Christmas in Lagos promotion. I finished the editing of Christmas in Lagos in June. Yeah. Early June. I finished editing it in early June. And it's nearing completion now. They're doing sound design, coloring, and everything has been done to a good extent. And I was sent a streamer a link to watch it, and I was watching it, and I was like, wow, this film is not bad. That I had to like text the director like, this film is good though. So yeah, that happens.